maybe won't like my answers.
All right, cool. So the fun in this is that it's just the first thing that comes to mind, and is very authentic. And I'll speak up too so that everyone can hear me. All right, easy one right off the bat. Early morning person or night owl?
You talking during the week or a weekend?
Let's go with the week.
I try to go. I'm an early morning person. I normally go at 5:15 to go to the gym.
Okay.
When I'm working out.
Weekend, you're just snoring all week.
No, weekend I stay up really late.
Okay, cool. If you could be any person from history, who are you going to be?
Oh, boy. That's a hard one. Most of them are dead now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Anybody from history. You could be Lincoln. You could be.
You know, I think for me, I have a lot of heroes, but I think if you really want to think about someone who's changed the world more than probably anyone, it would be Gandhi.
The last movie you watched, maybe on
Last movie?
Last movie you watched.
God, it sucked. It was, I can't remember the name of it.
Phone a friend.
50 Shades of Grey.
I saw that in a drive-in theater. I was driving down the highway, almost wrecked. I don't know what you They're evidently showing in some drive-in. There was a bunch of accidents. So now I've got to see that movie. I'll think of it in a minute. I can't. It was recent too, but it was not very memorable.
All right, first car.
First car was a 1962 Chevy 2 Stick.
Nice. Did it purr?
It did not purr. It actually broke down, and I had it towed away, and I never saw it again.
Okay, first job out of college.
That's the sticky one. So college is kind of a weird thing for me. I left college and went into the Army. I re-entered college and taking credits from USAPI and some correspondence while I was in the Army. And when I got out, I actually intentionally took a job at night, right, working the night shift at Maryland National Bank to be able to go back to school during the day. And I had this company keep hounding me that I turned down when I first got out of the military, a company called EDS in Rossboro. And so it actually talked me into leaving school and joining EDS. So I'm in good company if you think about the success of Steve Jobs and Bill Gates. I'm not in such a good company if you think about how important a degree is today for people to be not successful necessarily, because there's a lot of people with degrees that couldn't find their car in the parking lot. But I think it's a price of entry today that it wasn't back in the early 70s, especially if you had work experience and a real skill. And I had skills.
It's the mindset you take into either college or the workforce.
That's right.
Favorite food in your 20s that you don't eat anymore?
Thank God. A lot of baked potato and corn on the cob.
Nice. When you were in your 20s, did you think that you would be COO of a huge tech company and help change the world?
I didn't, and I would tell you that most of my career, growing up, I grew up in an environment where my role models were hardworking uncles and aunts that either worked on farms and coal mine or in plants, factories. And my only desire was to have a trade or a skill that I wouldn't have to go work in a coal mine or on a farm or in a factory and have a dead-end job. I wanted to be technical, and I was, believe it or not, really good technically. And I've got stuff to prove that. But to make a long story short, I kept getting pushed into leadership because of situations. And so I finally resolved myself to the fact, but for even in EDS, 12 years, I kept flipping between leadership roles, either shift supervisor, data center manager, head of applications, that kind of thing, back into more technical roles like software development and leading those teams and that kind of thing. But it just didn't stick.
All right, here's a quick one. Have you been to every continent?
No.
Which ones have you been to?
That's a good question. I may have been every continent. I think the answer is yes.
Okay. Favorite country then?
It's surprising. It's scary, actually. Favorite country? America.
Awesome, that's a good one. Hometown
That was a layup. I lived in Japan for 3.5 years. Trust me, I like Japan. I love America. I lived in Berlin. I lived in Germany for a couple of years. I love America.
If you had to live somewhere else, where would it be? What country would you live?
Oh, the UK.
Okay. Is it the accents?
No, it's the energy and the nightlife and.
Okay. Okay. I'm not gonna tell a side story about that. If you could save one thing from your home, what would it be?
If I could do one?
If you could save one thing from your home.
My dogs.
Your dogs. Okay, well that answers the next one. What are their names?
Brother and Birdie.
Nice. All right, book you most enjoy reading.
I haven't finished it yet. I had the most enjoyable book that I finished is called The Historian.
The Historian.
The Historian. And the lady that wrote it, it's her first book, and she won the literary award that year for the novel. And it's about Buddha and Pesh when they were two separate cities. And the underlying story is about a vampire that some believe was still alive, but in hibernation somewhere, and she went on the search to find it. It's a really cool book. But I love books about history that aren't necessarily true, but have enough truth to them that they're really believable. I like reading about the American Southwest, mystery novels by a guy named Tony Kellerman. But my favorite book right now is called Blood Feud, and it's the battle between the Obamas and the Clintons.
Nice.
And it's a soap opera. It is just so cool. And this reporter is an editor for, I think, the New York Times or the Washington Post, retired, and he's got more dirt on both of them. It's really good.
That's awesome. Okay, what foods do you dislike?
I don't think there is any. I think, well, I can't have cream, so anything with cream.
That's a technical one. All
I
right.
know.
Okay. All right, two more. If you could have been successful at anything else, what would you have done? Would you have been in the coal mines or?
No. I don't think success there is living. and especially living long after you retire, right? And it's back-breaking work, and it's dirty, and it kills people. I think I wanted to be an electrical engineer, and I went to school for a couple of years for that before I found out I was so severely colorblind that it wasn't going to be a career, and I changed data processing. And changing the data processing back then was learning how to program, and so I went to a technical school and learned to program a couple languages, but I enjoyed more working the machines, right? And so operations became my real passion. So I'm quite happy with how things have turned out, to be honest about it, but that doesn't mean that I didn't have other aspirations. And quite honestly, growing up, back to your very first question, I didn't have a lot of aspirations. As I was going through school, and especially right before you graduate, I'm sure all of you went through this, it's about, what the hell am I going to do? I'm going to be asked to leave the house. I mean, I have to get my own house. I'm going to have to get a job. I'm going to have to fend for myself. And when you realize that, it's, I don't know how it was for you all, but for me, it was like a little freaky.
So the last question ties well into that. What would you like to be known for?
I think my ethics and the way I treat people.
Something worth being known for. So that's the quick back and forth. Now we know a little bit more about our COO, Gary. We're going to open it up for Q&A, which is why we